Hey everybody, Matt Cribbs here. Most of you all know me. I'm located in South Georgia. I work in a school district with 10 schools. We are all we're all Title I schools, so high levels of poverty in all 10 of the schools within my district. Currently, I am serving as an academic coach at one of the middle schools. I work with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade science and social studies teachers. Educational background, I am actually an alternative certification teacher. I studied philosophy and religious studies in my undergrad and kind of accidentally fell into teaching and loved it. Later went and got my master's and got certified to teach. I taught in the classroom for 7 years, and now I am in my 4th year as an academic coach. Moving forward, I think one of my research interests is school improvement, but specifically how to get teachers to lead school improvement and how to rely on the strengths rather than it being a district or administrative mandate. So the Allucci and Howard article. I really identified with this article, especially since it's written for pre-service teachers, because these mindsets that Allucci and Howard outline, I see this a lot in the pre-service teachers I work with. In fact, at my school, I am in charge of all student teacher placements. And this mindset is something I see all the time. Just the other day, I was working with some social studies teachers, and I was trying to encourage them to have the students reading and writing more in the social studies class. And a student teacher chimed in and said, "Well, they can't do that. They need to take notes. They need to just get the basic information." And he really made me mad. And I said, "Look, with all respect, dude, I really don't need you to weigh in on this right now. This is what we're going to do." Anyway, so that deficit mindset is something I see all the time in our pre-service teachers. And I do believe our students in poverty can be very resourceful. Just like the article says, they can be leaders, they possess a maturity that other kids might not, and every single one of them has promise. I also enjoy how the authors talk about oftentimes teachers chalk up their culture, the culture of poverty. They attribute things to their culture without ever taking the time to get to know them or know what their culture is. And then some of the myths that Allucci and Howard outlined that I took really strong issue with were the individual faults myth. And I have a problem with that one because I hear that one a lot. It's parents are lazy. They don't value education. I hear that all the time. Well, they don't value education. What do you want me to do? They don't value education. There's nothing I can do. I think this leads to that culture of poverty myth and then leads into that educability myth. And just like the author said, it's true. It lets those teachers kind of exonerate themselves from taking responsibility of these kids' education. So those ones I took issue with. But Dr. Busey has asked us to say which myth do we possibly hold going into this semester, and I'm going to be honest. One of them is the bootstraps myth. Now, Allucci and Howard do talk about how the authors, they do account for the importance of effort, but they stress the importance of teachers and pre-service teachers understanding the social structures that reinforce poverty. And I don't disagree with that. One thing I still, part of me believes that bootstraps myth, and maybe it's just a factor of working in a middle school, but we spend so much of our time in the middle school trying to motivate the kids and motivate our students, and not just students from poverty, all of them. And when you're working with a kid and you ask them, you try to make an engaging lesson, you try to make it relevant to them, and you just ask them, I just want you to put pen to paper and just please try, and they won't. That is so frustrating. And then you see kids who struggle, who might not pass, but they try their hearts out. That's kids from poverty and from not within poverty. And it's inspiring to see kids like that. So you see these levels of effort among the kids, and you see sometimes you'll see a really kid who's really struggling academically try really hard and grow a lot, and then you'll see a kid who's got a lot of intelligence and will put forth no effort. I understand the straps myth from the article is related to poverty, and that the idea that people from poverty can just get themselves out easily, and I understand that, and I don't agree with that myth. But I don't know, maybe it's just some vestigial belief of mine. I see I see the power of individual effort within school. Not to disparage all the outside factors that kids have to confront before they even walk through our doors. But but yeah, when there's a lack of effort, even with encouragement, positivity, and scaffolding, differentiation, and it's still struggle to just to get that first step. You know, in my mind, and this could change throughout the semester, but in my mind, I'm like, you have to take the first step. I can, just like the article said about the seeds, you have, you know, two healthy seeds, but if you put them in two different environments, one can flourish and the other won't. If I'm providing the right soil and water and care and attention to get you to flourish, I need you to take that first step. And that's, again, that's something I've always struggled with working in middle school. And I've always worked in middle school. I've worked in middle school all 11 years of my career. But again, I don't necessarily think that's a poverty issue. That's just more of a middle school issue or kids issue. I mean, all kids are, that's the game, right? They're going to do as little as possible, some of them. So anyway, that's the one that I hope, and even not just for the students of poverty, but for other kids. Maybe they're bringing all sorts of other things in with them that are um, preventing them from being successful, even if it's not poverty. Which question do I think it is the most important that we address? Is the first one, in my opinion, is what are the systemic and institutional factors that impact poverty? I think this is the first hurdle, for myself included. I think if we start to see that many things work against our students and that keep them in poverty generation after generation, not just their effort or their choices, but all the societal factors surrounding them, I think it might be easier for us to work with teachers to debunk a lot of these myths that are in this article. I think it might encourage people to make more of an effort to provide like a meaningful quality educational experience for these kids. And I think people might start to begin appreciating the strengths many of our students with poverty bring with them into the school that we often ignore and don't tap into. And also we can start recognizing the strengths within those communities and those sources of capital within those communities. Rather than writing them off, we can start using those to support the schools. So yes, the very first question is the one I felt was the most important. Anyway, that's my first thought starting the semester. I hope they adapt and evolve throughout the next 3 months. We'll see. I look forward to working with everybody. Thank you.